This is Newcap News with Nicole Stilger.
Well, in federal politics, 2016 was a year filled with promises and plans by the Trudeau government. Gina Martin sat down with Battleford's Lloydminster Conservative MP Gerry Ritz to get his thoughts on the last year and his plans for 2017.
A very up and down year for sure in Parliament. What were some highlights for you?
Just getting used to being back in the opposition again. Of course, the first almost 10 years opposition, then 10 years in government. Now we're back into the opposition again. It's a different role model, absolutely. I'm very fortunate. I sit on the International Trade Committee. We've been able to move the goalposts a little bit. We just did clause by clause on the CETA agreement, Canada-European Union. Very, very happy to get that moved that far. At the end of the year, I was very much involved in the negotiations of that over the time frame that we were in government.
Excellent. Yeah, CETA was huge, definitely for us here in Canada. Any other points, agreements, especially with trade, that maybe you'd like to discuss? TPP,
sure.
Maybe?
TPP, absolutely. We've got a government of the day right now that seems to be dragging their feet on it, waiting to see what the Americans are going to do. We don't have to do that. We have the strength to work with willing partners throughout the TPP. Japan has already ratified, and of course they're the crown jewel that every other country wants to negotiate and deal with. So everybody says, well, let's just do a bilateral with Japan, but it would never be to the same ambition, we call it, in trade agreements that we have in that multilateral agreement called the TPP. 5 or 6 of the major players are moving ahead. There's no reason that we shouldn't be as well. So that's our next order of business, is pushing that one hard when we get back in the House in January.
What will you be trying to fight for come 2017 here?
Well, some common sense, some level-headedness. You know, the deficit they promised $10 billion is now ballooned to $100 billion. They've got a few more decimal points and zeros added in there. It's really telling to me that the people that are, you know, they're most vociferous about getting on top of climate at any cost aren't concerned about the debt we're leaving our grandkids. So it's going to be a tough situation for them to face as they bring forward another budget for 2017.
Yeah. And there were many accomplishments for the Lloydminster Catholic School Division in 2016. Director of Education Aubrey Patterson also spoke to our Gina Martin about this past year.
I'm here today with Aubrey Patterson, the Director of Education with the Lloydminster Catholic School District. Thanks so much, Aubrey, for being in today. Let's just get started with some highlights from 2016. What do you think was really important with the school district this year?
Well, thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. It's really hard to encapsulate a whole year into a few minutes, but we've had a lot of growth in our school division and many successes. I think most often we miss on some of the things that aren't as visible, which is our academic successes, which have been outstanding, and all of the exciting things that we have going in the schools. So, for example, we've got a grade 7 one-to-one initiative, which is teaming each of the grade 7 kids has their own device now, and they work with that, and the teachers are working with that, and the kids are just so engaged, and that's been really successful right across the school division. Our Mother Teresa school has been expanded all the way up to grade 2, which has been really nice because it gives all the kids that were there, all the early childhood kids, a chance to stay and have more continuity. And it's also taking some of the growth pressure off of some of our other schools. And also, one of the big things is been trying to keep our school community small and warm and friendly, and part of that has been to try to increase our communications and do new things like with our website and our app and our online store and all kinds of things like that. So that's been really successful for us, and we've been really happy with it.
Heading into 2017, what are some exciting things that are going to happen, or what are some goals for that coming year?
Well, we keep focusing forward on our academics. One of the challenges we have, it's a great challenge, is that we've already hit all of the targets the province has identified for 2020. So we're actually go year by year measuring ourselves against ourselves. We're seeing graduation rates right now that are 94%, which the provincial average is 76%, like on-time graduation rates. We have our kids reading, writing, doing math at great rates. That said, until we hit 100% with everybody succeeding, we're never satisfied. So our point, I guess the point with that is we want to make sure that we keep focusing forward, refining, and trying to reach every kid we can. How do we do that? The best way is to keep trying to get creative with what we've got, and work more with the city. And also, I have to say, it's been wonderful this past year working with our sister school division in town. We just work so well together, and you know, we've been working on common calendars and all kinds of things like that.
Well, it's no secret Lloydminster's downtown core has seen better days. Between thriving businesses suddenly closing their doors and competition on Highway 16, the city agrees something needs to be done. But City Hall seemingly has their hands tied with the budget, as the costs to find a solution are too high. Adam McVicker with the latest.
A downtown area redevelopment plan will simply have to wait. During the final City Council meeting of 2016, a contract to develop a plan was denied 4 votes to 3. The contract was slated for O2 Planning and Design Incorporated, a company based out of Calgary, but the price tag would be Council's main concern.
$150,000 right now is a lot of money when we're in tough budget situations, and we got to look after some of the core services first. Maybe we can do that study next year. Maybe we can do some of that study in-house.
The intention of a new redevelopment plan was to outline a vision for the border city's downtown over the next 15 years to meet economic, social, environmental, and cultural demands.
A well put together plan for revitalization of the downtown is really something that we need and need to continue to work towards.
But Council's decision isn't stopping Streetscapes from continuing with their 3-year strategic plan for the downtown core.
Which is really understandable considering the economy right now, but that hasn't put plans for revitalization on hold for Streetscapes.
The city's redevelopment plan would begin with a study of the downtown area with public engagement and consultation sessions while bringing in consultants to address land architecture, urban design, and infrastructure, a decision welcomed by Streetscapes.
The people that sit on the Streetscapes boards, we're all volunteers and we're business people, but we're not experts in city revitalization. So this brings the experts to the table.
Debate on the redevelopment plan was postponed by Council during their November 14th meeting with discussion around value for taxpayer dollars. But many on Council came away in favor of a plan with a different approach.
It's not a matter of if not wanting to do it, it's a matter of there's only so much money to go around. It's going to take a year to do it now anyway, probably. So maybe we can do some of that in-house or part of it and then hire some of it out if we need to when the time comes.
While the downtown redevelopment plan has been put on hold, City Council is still moving forward with some initiatives for this area of town, including passing 3rd reading of a rezoning bylaw as a catalyst to the highway corridor. Reporting from downtown Lloydminster, Adam McVicker, Newcap News.
And as we get set to indulge this Christmas weekend, it's important to balance how we eat. In this week's Healthy Living, Josh Ryan explores ways to satisfy the sweet tooth without upsetting the stomach.
Eating healthy is among the many stresses that come up at Christmas time. However, the degree to which people worry about gaining weight is unfounded.
Research has revealed that healthy weight individuals only gain about 1 pound over the holidays. So the problem is people don't often take it off in the new year.
People often go too far in fasting before meals or deciding to put off eating a treat normally enjoyed at Christmas.
If you do give up something you really love, you will feel deprived and it will likely cause you to overeat later on.
However, there are several practical solutions to trying to eat healthy while savoring holiday tastes. Amanda Anderson from Pure and Simple Market says a great snack substitute are Power Balls.
We usually just blend them up in our blender. It probably takes about 20 minutes, even 15, depending on how much ingredients you're putting in.
They're full of healthy ingredients like chia seeds and dates, and you can make several additions depending on your taste.
Spruce it up, you can always do some nice chocolate chips or even some coconut, add in some cocoa just to give a little bit more chocolate flavor.
Other low-calorie options out there include pumpkin pie.
Once it's blended up and add some sugar, the healthy components, the vitamins and minerals are still there. It's just obviously a little less healthier than if you ate it steamed or whatever. And pumpkin pie just has fewer calories than some of the traditional heavier desserts.
Or even small cucumber bites.
We actually add a honey Greek yogurt with them on top.
Then break up Christmas Day with a little exercise.
plan cross-country skiing or skating or walking into your afternoon to help reduce afternoon snacking and burn some of the lunchtime calories you've just had.
Josh Ryan, Newcap News.
Well, still to come, Justin Trudeau spoke at Calgary's Chamber of Commerce yesterday. Among the many topics, the Keystone XL pipeline. Details when we come back.
Stocks and oil prices are brought to you by Spectrum Restoration DKI. Across the street, across the Midwest, restoring confidence. Spectrum Restoration DKI.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was in Calgary yesterday, speaking at a sold-out Chamber of Commerce breakfast crowd full of business and energy leaders. As Global's David Boucher explains, Trudeau shared some positive news for the oil patch regarding the Keystone XL pipeline.
A warm reception for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Hardly surprising considering this was his first visit to Calgary since the federal government gave the green light to two pipelines.
Canada's a country of resources. We need to get our resources to market.
Hardly news to the energy industry, but when asked about the proposed Keystone XL pipeline, Trudeau relayed a conversation he had with Donald Trump the day after the U.S. election.
He actually brought up Keystone XL and indicated that he was very supportive of it and hoping that we were going to be able to work together.
The head of TransCanada, the Calgary-based company that would build the pipeline, was elated.
It's tremendous to see our government in support of projects that are important not just to Alberta but to Canada as a whole and to North America as a whole. So I'm very pleased.
And a lot of companies like Vintry Technologies would benefit.
It sounds promising. I mean, from my business and the company that I run, the Keystone pipeline would be a very important part of our business to apply our technology.
Trudeau also said if a Trump-led administration backs off from its climate change commitments, Canada could stand to gain by attracting more investment into cleaner energy.
Quite frankly, I think we should look at that as an extraordinary opportunity
Later, at a news conference, Trudeau said it would create employment opportunities.
Protecting our environment and creating good jobs for our kids and grandkids go together.
But the president of the Calgary Chamber says the government should move cautiously to ensure we don't lose our competitive edge.
We have to do a very delicate analysis of Canada's competitiveness despite the U.S. not going into that position.
Overall, the Prime Minister's message was positive but unwavering on carbon pricing. As he put it, this is the way the world is going and Canada should be at the forefront. David Boucher, Global News, Calgary.
And paramedics were left running off their feet Tuesday after call volumes went through the roof. First responders required backup and attended over 100 calls. Some of the situations required a visit to a family physician, not an ambulance. Global's Megan Craig reports.
Call volumes on Wednesday were steady at MD Ambulance, but paramedics were breathing a sigh of relief after running ragged the day before.
It felt like the wheels fell off the bus. The call volume we did by 2:30 was about 60 to 65 calls. That's a normal crazy day in 12 hours.
Let alone in a 7.5-hour time frame, and the calls kept coming in.
By the time 24 hours rolled around, we just hit around the 100 mark. And it stayed busy right up until about midnight, 1 o'clock, and then it started to slow down.
Response times to the most dire of situations was done in a timely fashion. But as less severe cases stacked up, so did the need for backup. Rural centers chipped in where they could, and the fire department responded to some of those calls.
On top of that, we had our normal capacity of 12 ambulances on the street and 2 supervisors out in rovers. We brought back crews to staff 3 more ambulances, so at the peak we're running 15.
Local emergency departments manage the volumes just fine, but we're in constant communication with first responders.
As an emergency department, we work very closely with our EMS partners to ensure that we're freeing up EMS units to get out and get to those next calls.
According to the Canadian Institute for Health Information, in 2014, 80% of people in Saskatoon had a regular doctor that they went to. And sometimes in non-emergency cases, it can feel like an emergency to that person. Officials with MD Ambulance say on Tuesday, 40% of calls received were on the lower acuity side and could have been handled in a different manner.
You can come in by ambulance, but if you're low acuity, you're going to be waiting. Whether you wait 3 or 4 hours in the ER, you wait 3 or 4 hours in a clinic. If you have that ability and it's not a serious situation, don't type the ERs. Go to the clinic that's available to you in your community.
Megan Craig, Global News.
Sports is brought to you by Nissan Lloydminster Titan XD. Come test drive the all-new Titan today. Nissan Lloydminster, your Titan excellence dealer.
Well, usually a senior and junior B team wouldn't play each other. Well, that wasn't the case Wednesday. For one night only, the Hillmont Hitmen and Lloydminster Junior B Bandits came together for a special cause. Lance Phillips has more.
Wednesday night at the Hillmond Arena certainly was special. In a true show of class, the Bandits and Hitmen joined together for exhibition hockey in an effort to raise money for a member of their hockey family. Brenda Stansfield, mother of Jesse Stansfield, who plays for both teams, was recently diagnosed with cancer, and the result was a packed Hillmond Arena in an unprecedented show of support.
Jesse Stansfield!
It's just a really good feeling to know that the whole community can come down and just do something like this, such a big event. It just means a lot.
I just came in from Saskatoon. I left Saskatoon about 5:30. Got here about halfway through the first period and looked at the parking lot. And I knew there'd be a good turnout, but I never expected this many.
As a small community, people are closer knit and everybody knows everybody. So in a situation like going with the Stansfield family, people pull together and events like this happen.
Through admission, donation boxes, and a 4-room silent auction filled with impressive goods, the community of Hillmond raised over $20,000 Wednesday, with all proceeds going directly in support of the Stansfield family.
Words don't explain it. It's unbelievable how people are pulling. No, It's absolutely unbelievable how people come together in a time like this.
Well, it's you just can't explain it. It's just one of those things that I realize. Like, I always knew the community was, we've had fundraisers before and they've always been awesome, but I don't know, it's kind of speechless how, people you don't even know come out and support you.
After the game, Bandits general manager Greg Buchanan made a point of saying, in a time of need, families come together. And it was evident after Wednesday's fundraiser that not only did the Stansfield family come together, but also the family of Hillmond, rallying and raising thousands of dollars to help one of its own. Lance Phillips, Newcap Sports, Hillmond.
Well, the day after Christmas is a Canadian tradition, but not for Boxing Day deals. It's traditionally the day when Team Canada plays its opener of the IIHF World Junior Tournament, and this year some local talent will grace the blue line. Lloydminster native Cale Clegg made the team out of selection camp, and earlier this week he spoke to Newcap's Greg Buchanan, highlighting just how he played his way onto the national squad.
I knew what I had to do to make the team and to be myself and play my own game, and I thought I got better as camp went on, and I thought by the last game I was terrific, and I thought I played my way on.
For any Canadian hockey player, wearing the maple leaf is a dream, and for some, one of the biggest honors of their hockey career. For Clegg, it's more surreal than anything.
It doesn't feel like I'm, preparing to play in the World Junior Tournament, the one I've watched my whole life. Just feels like another tournament, and I think that's the way it should be. And obviously, representing Team Canada, and I'm honored to throw the maple leaf every time I get the chance.
The Brandon Wheat Kings product is playing in his first World Junior Championship and was drafted in the second round, 51st overall, by the Los Angeles Kings in the 2016 NHL entry draft. Thousands of cattle are facing slaughter in the wake of the discovery of bovine TB on a southern Alberta farm. There's the economic cost to producers as authorities ensure that infected meat does not end up on your plate. In this week's Agriculture Report, Gerard Lampow chats with a local vet to understand the threat level in the Midwest region.
Obviously, anytime there's a disease that we're talking about that can transmit to humans, the significance and the importance of it is significantly ramped up.
Barring the odd case, Canada has been free of bovine tuberculosis since the 1920s, hence the huge shock to producers in Alberta and Saskatchewan who are grappling with the implications of their animals being quarantined and facing slaughter. Dr. Trent Wennekamp with the Lloydminster Animal Hospital says there are some pockets of bovine TB in northern Alberta and Manitoba, but investigators are still trying to trace the source.
The strain most closely matches actually a strain out of Mexico. So there is no correlation as far as we're aware. There's speculation it has come from local elk herds, but at this point nobody really knows.
The CFIA is still testing animals with more than 22,000 cattle in quarantine and some 10,000 facing slaughter. Canada's chief vet says the tests will conclude by Christmas. Following the slaughter, the meat will still be tested to verify whether it's contaminated. Meat that tests negative will be allowed into the food chain. Dr. Wennekamp says producers need to maintain biosecurity protocols.
The odds of anybody around here seeing it is really uncommon. It's a really rare disease, and so thankfully, we probably don't have to, be too vigilant on a daily basis. But more so, it's just that overall, biosecurity is important, and you need to be aware of where the animals are coming from.
Dr. Wennekamp assures consumers that this case is an example of the strength of the monitoring and traceback programs.
Animals that are slaughtered in Canada for human consumption, there's a strict monitoring program, right? There's veterinarians at those plants where that's happening, and they're trained to look for this type of stuff.
The CFIA is offering a minimum of $4,500 compensation per registered commercial animal. With the holidays in mind, there's no need to fear the beef on your plate.
The odds of this type of organism entering the food chain is very, very small.
Gerard Lampow, Newcap News.